What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Invasive Brews. I am Ranch Travigal, and if you're like me, you love wildlife and you love wildlife conservation, and you're constantly looking for ways to help your native species out, and one way that me and millions of other Americans do that is by setting out bird feeders. Setting up bird feeders is a great way for many people to observe nature and their local wildlife without even leaving the comforts of their own home. But if you spend any time watching and paying attention to your bird feeders, you quickly find out that two species can quickly overcome your feeding stations. And those two species are house sparrow and European starlings. Now, these two species are considered invasive, so they are not legally protected like all of our native birds are. They quickly outcompete for food resources, and they can compete for nesting sites. Both species are a cavity nesting species as well, and can quickly outcompete the native birds for nesting cavities. And one example would be a bluebird. In fact, house sparrows have even been documented as going into a bluebird's nest, killing the mother and the eggs, and building their nest right over the top of the dead mother of the bluebird. Now, there are ways to deter these two species away from your bird feeding stations by, feeding them stuff that they don't particularly like, safflower seed, stuff like that. But most likely, they are still going to show up at your bird feeding stations. Or you could pay attention to your nest boxes, and if you see a European starling or a house sparrow starting to build a nest in them, you can quickly remove the nest, and that might deter them from coming back. But there is another way that you can control these species, and that's by trapping. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Okay, so I'm setting it here at the evening time. It should be after that they are done feeding in my little bird feeder area, my garden area. So I'm going to be using this. It's actually a sparrow trap. So what the concept is, they go in this hole here, and they don't really have a chance of getting back out. There's a hole on this side as well, and I'm going to be using this as well. Now, this is a homemade, there's trash in there, homemade minnow trap, in fact, but I'm going to see if it will work on sparrows as well. So I'm going to set these, and let's get it. Now, it is really important to block the entrances of the trap because these guys are very smart and they will find their way back out. We have as a general rule, I always find something to do with the invasives that I dispatch. My friend can use these feathers to make fishing jigs. Local wildlife rehab centers can take starlings and sparrows and feed to injured wildlife. Local falconers take sparrows to feed to their birds of prey. Heck, even if you just put them in a field, something will eat them. Something else that I do with them is bury them in my pollinator garden to recycle the nutrients back into the ecosystem. Anything is better than just throwing them into the dumpster.
Two house sparrows.
Okay, so I've been trapping around 2 weeks now, and I just wanted to share with you some of my results that I have. So the modified minnow trap that I did not work. I modified it a couple times, still didn't work, so I'm just going to keep it as a homemade minnow trap and not a sparrow trap. The best results I had were with the actual sparrow trap. They go in here into those funnels. You open the lid, shut the lid, you can reach in and grab them. Best results I got were on the snowy day. I caught several sparrows that day. I like this one, but you got to be quick. You got to be quick on the draw to get them, otherwise they do get out like you saw a little bit ago. Now, I did find this trap in a local feed store. The basic concept is it's a bird trap like a mouse trap. It sets like this. You set it, bird trigger or steps on the trigger there, and it snaps shut, trapping the bird in this netting here. It works. It did catch a couple sparrows, but one sparrow did accidentally get caught up in there, and it basically used it as a mousetrap on the bird. I don't like that solely because of the possibility of catching a native bird. You don't know what kind of birds you're going to catch. With the sparrow trap, you can open the lid and the native bird can get out, or you can reach in, like I had to reach in with a junco one time. He was in with a whole bunch of sparrows. I reached in, I grabbed him, and I let him go. This trap, it doesn't choose who it springs. So I'm not going to be using this trap anymore for trapping sparrows, just because of the fact that I don't want to kill any native species. So with that being said, I hope you learned something in this video, or got an idea of how to protect your native species and native birds in your own yard. If you did, leave a thumbs up, a comment. I would love to hear your comments, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But until next time, plant native and drink local.